The first knock came just as I was laughing at something completely ordinary, and I had no idea that one playful sentence would change the rest of my life. Looking back now, I realize that life rarely announces its biggest moments with fireworks. Sometimes, it begins with a joke, a smile, and a heart that has been quietly waiting for years. If someone had told me that the woman I was teasing over burnt pancakes on a lazy Sunday morning would look me in the eyes and say the words that would erase every fear I had carried since my painful divorce, I would have laughed. But that is exactly what happened. And the moment she softly smiled and replied, "Then make it official," everything inside me stopped. I understood that some people don't enter your life to fix your past, they arrive to help you believe in your future. If you believe kindness, second chances, and true love still exist in this world, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kind Heart Stories. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people who need them. 3 years before that unforgettable morning, I had walked away from a marriage that slowly destroyed my confidence. My ex-wife and I had once dreamed of growing old together, but somewhere between endless arguments, unmet expectations, and emotional distance, we became strangers living under the same roof. When the divorce papers were finally signed, I told everyone I was relieved, but deep inside I carried the heavy belief that maybe I simply wasn't someone worth loving forever. Friends tried introducing me to new people, but I politely refused every invitation. It was easier to work longer hours than risk another broken heart. My apartment became painfully quiet, my weekends became predictable, and I convinced myself that loneliness was simply the price adults paid for peace. Then Emily quietly stepped into my life without trying to change it. She wasn't a stranger. She had been a mutual friend for years, someone I had occasionally met at birthday dinners and neighborhood gatherings. During my marriage, we had barely spoken beyond polite greetings because she respected boundaries. After the divorce, she unexpectedly reached out with a simple message asking if I was doing okay. There was no hidden intention, no awkward curiosity about what had happened. She simply cared. That single message led to coffee. Coffee became weekly conversations. Those conversations slowly became the safest place either of us had known in years. Emily had her own scars. She had spent years caring for her aging father while quietly putting her own dreams aside. She knew disappointment, sacrifice, and the silent loneliness that comes from always being the strong one. Because of that, she never judged my fears. She never rushed me to move on or pretend everything was fine. She listened. Sometimes we would sit in comfortable silence watching rain fall outside the cafe window, and somehow those silent moments healed me more than any advice ever could. As months passed, our friendship became woven into everyday life. She remembered how I liked my coffee before I even ordered it. She reminded me to take breaks during stressful weeks. She laughed at my terrible jokes even when they weren't funny. When I caught the flu one winter, she appeared at my apartment carrying homemade soup, medicine, and enough groceries to last a week. She insisted she was only helping a friend, but every thoughtful gesture slowly chipped away at the walls around my heart. One Sunday morning she invited herself into my kitchen because, according to her, I had absolutely no idea how to make breakfast without creating a disaster. She wasn't entirely wrong. Flour somehow ended up on the floor, eggs cracked unevenly, and the pancakes looked more like oddly shaped maps than food. She rolled up her sleeves, gently pushed me aside, and took control of the kitchen with effortless confidence. Watching her move around as though she had always belonged there felt strangely comforting. My apartment no longer seemed empty. It felt alive. Trying to hide how deeply happy I felt, I jokingly looked at her while she cleaned the mess I had made and teased, "You're already acting like my wife." I expected her to laugh, maybe throw a kitchen towel at me, or tell me not to flatter myself. Instead, she paused. She looked directly into my eyes with a smile that carried both courage and vulnerability. Then she quietly said, "Then make it official." The room became completely silent. The playful atmosphere disappeared, replaced by something far more powerful. My heart raced because I knew she wasn't joking. She wasn't demanding anything or giving me an ultimatum. She was simply opening the door to a future we had both secretly imagined but had been too afraid to mention. For several long seconds I couldn't speak. Every painful memory from my failed marriage tried to convince me to run. Fear whispered that love always ends in heartbreak. Doubt reminded me of every promise that had once been broken. But then I looked at Emily. She wasn't asking me to erase my past. She wasn't expecting perfection. She was offering something much rarer, an honest chance to build something new together. Instead of answering immediately, I asked if we could take a walk. We spent hours wandering through the nearby park where children laughed, elderly couples held hands, and families enjoyed the sunshine. Watching those ordinary moments, I realized I had spent years surviving instead of truly living. Emily never pressured me during that walk. She simply stayed beside me, matching every slow step as though she already understood the battle happening inside my heart. Finally, I admitted the truth I had hidden from everyone, including myself. I confessed that I wasn't afraid of marrying her. I was afraid of failing someone as wonderful as her. I feared waking up years later and watching another beautiful relationship crumble. Tears filled her eyes as she gently reminded me that love was never about guaranteeing forever. It was about choosing each other every single day, even when life became difficult. Those words broke something inside me, but not in a painful way. They shattered the fear that had imprisoned my heart for years. I realized I had been measuring every future relationship against my past instead of allowing it to become something completely different. Emily deserved a man who believed in tomorrow, not someone permanently trapped in yesterday. A month later, I invited her back to that same tiny kitchen where everything had changed. This time the pancakes were still slightly burnt, but neither of us cared. I placed a small velvet box beside her coffee mug and smiled nervously. Before I could even begin my carefully rehearsed speech, she started laughing because she already knew what was happening. Through happy tears, she nodded before I even finished asking the question. Planning our wedding wasn't about expensive decorations or impressing anyone. It became a celebration of healing. Friends who had watched both of us struggle couldn't stop smiling. My parents said they hadn't seen genuine happiness in my eyes for years. Even people who barely believed in love admitted there was something special about the way we looked at each other. It wasn't the excitement of a perfect romance. It was the quiet gratitude of two imperfect people who had finally found peace together. Marriage didn't magically remove every challenge. We still disagreed over small things. We still faced financial worries, stressful jobs, and unexpected setbacks. But every disagreement ended with respect instead of resentment. Every difficult season reminded us that we were on the same team. Slowly, I learned that healthy love isn't loud. It doesn't demand constant grand gestures. Sometimes it simply means someone saving the last slice of pizza because they know it's your favorite, waiting awake until you get home safely, or holding your hand during difficult days without saying a single word. If this story has touched your heart or reminded you that hope can return when you least expect it, please like this video, share it with your loved ones, and subscribe to Kind Heart Stories so we can continue sharing meaningful stories that inspire kindness and second chances. Before this story ends, please leave a comment and tell us, do you believe one honest conversation can completely change someone's life? We'd truly love to read your thoughts. Today, whenever someone asks me how I knew Emily was the one, I don't tell them about the engagement ring or our wedding day. I tell them about burnt pancakes, a messy kitchen, a playful joke, and a brave woman who smiled without fear and quietly said, "Then make it official." Those 4 simple words taught me that love isn't about finding someone who never sees your broken pieces. It's about finding someone who sees every crack, every scar, every fear, and still chooses to build a beautiful future with you. And sometimes, the greatest love stories don't begin with perfect timing. They begin the moment someone gives your heart permission to believe again.